Usually, or in the beginning, I did an intro, but I don't do that anymore. So I'm just gonna introduce you, and let's start talking.
Why don't you do the intro anymore?
It's too long. It's 2 minutes of people saying we need to have a new world order, blah 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 blah.
Oh,
Whatever
yeah,
that
Klaus
didn't.
Schwab.
Yeah,
Old Schwaby Schwab.
Schwab and all other guys. So yeah.
He's just,
So-
he's the worst. He
yeah,
really is. I mean, like, who else can get away with telling us we should eat bugs, you know? Just Schwaby. Just old Schwaby.
yeah. It's pretty fucked up how they just come out of the woodworks and start talking about it openly. How they're
They
gonna
didn't just come out the
imprison it.
woodwork. They've been talking about this since 2016, at least. I mean, that's when they put out a book about it.
Ah, yeah, I know, but they haven't had the YouTube channels. That's new.
Oh, yeah. Well, you got to remember, like, after the, election, whatever, they went ahead and got rid of everybody, you know? And they're doing it again right now. I just had three of my friends get strikes on YouTube this week. Three.
Yeah, that's par for the course.
That's par for the course. You're right. I mean, what are you going to do? I mean, you got to remember that YouTube is owned by Susan Wojcicki, whose sister is Ann Wojcicki, who owns 23andMe. Yeah, the DNA. They got the DNA, dude.
Ah, yeah, yeah.
You know, the BlackRock, like it also like BlackRock Vanguard, they quietly bought Ancestry.com from the Mormons in the middle of the COVID nonsense. Did you know that?
I did not know that. No,
Yes. Why? Why do they want our DNA so badly?
that's a good question. Yeah, yeah.
I mean, I
So
know
I
why.
I I guess I have to leave this in, but yeah, welcome, Frantic Missy, professional guest for podcast, as your Twitter video said.
When my power works, yes.
So my first question is, because this is the first time we meet. So tell me about yourself, and also what made you question things. What was the first thing you saw? Like, holy shit, this does not add up.
Okay, so a little bit of background on me. When I was 18, I started doing paranormal investigating as part of like a ghost hunting team. But I really started getting into all this stuff when I was about 8 years old. Remember the Time Life series of books that they put out? Like they advertised on TV, like pyramids and Bigfoot and aliens. Remember that? Well, hook, line, and sinker, I was about it. And my parents, my dad was like super religious. He's actually a Southern Baptist minister. So there was no way in hell I was going to be able to own those books. But on Christmas Eve, going back to my grandmama's house, we got hit by a drunk driver, and everyone in my family ended up in the hospital except for me. So I went over to my grandma's house, and that's when I learned that there was no Santa Claus because there were no presents there in the morning. I mean, they were at our house and everybody's in the hospital. Nobody could go get them, So that's when I learned there was no Santa Claus. And to make it up to my grandmama goes, what is there? What is it you want? Anything you want, I'll get it for you. I'm not going to be able to get it for you today, but you name it, I'll get it. And I was like, I want this Time Life book series, but I'm going to have to keep them at your house. So I go over to my grandmama's house like for like 2 or 3 weeks out of the summer and just conspiracy out when I was just a little kid.
That's awesome. So that's good that you have been in it for a long time, because I think it's weird because a lot of people I talk to nowadays, something happened with Trump in 2016 that they like saw something, like the well fell down, and they were like, okay, something ain't right here. And they started deep diving, but the most of the guys, they went just into the Republican Party, and that doesn't help anybody. So
I did a podcast recently with the Big Dumb Podcast, Kyle, and it was titled "Conspiracy Thirst Traps." And because there's a lot of these conspiracy thirst traps out there, people don't realize that's what it is. One of my favorites is the flat Earth thing. If the Earth is flat or the Earth is round, it doesn't matter if we're eating bugs and we don't own anything. Right? It doesn't matter if like they're poisoning us. Like that is the last thing we really need to worry about right now. So people get stuck on that flat earth thing. They want to argue all day, every day, and they never move on to anything else. And it's sad. And what happened in 2016 with the whole Trump thing is I watched a lot of people who were libertarians or liberals go onto the Trump team, and they just kind of went off the deep end. Everything, I think everybody does that though. When you take the red pill for the first time, everyone first of all wants to tell you all about it because it's like they got saved by Jesus or something. They're like, let me tell you the good news. The earth is flat. Klaus Schwab eats babies. That's what they do. And they want to tell everybody about it. But the thing is like when you start telling the truth to people, you start alienating people. And I think what happened with the Trump thing is the people that were telling the truth were really freaking out the people that couldn't handle the reality that we're living in. And I watched a lot of people go from Republican to libertarian to now they're living off the grid because there was no stop point for them. Everyone like says like conspiracies are fun. I'm like, no, first of all, I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I'm a conspiracy analyst. I analyze things that have actually happened. I look at documents. I go into the CIA.gov site, which anybody can do, by the way. All you have to do is go to CIA.gov. And if you scroll to the bottom of the screen where it says resources, underneath it, it's going to say FOIA. And you click on the FOIA thing and you can search for anything you want to your heart's content. Anything the CIA has declassified, you can look at. So I like looking at that stuff like Operation Popeye, where we engineered the weather to try to win the Vietnam War. Or, what's another one? Oh my gosh, I can't remember the name of it. It's the Gulf of Tonkin incident, right? That's clear.
Mm.
That was a false flag. Do you know who Admiral Morrison was? Jim Morrison's daddy.
Yeah.
Legit. Did you
So
know that?
I'm very bad with names. Jim Morrison, is that
Yeah,
some
from the
Hollywood?
Doors.
Oh, it's a singer.
Yeah, he was in a band in the 60s called The Doors, which were huge. And he's part of the 27 Club. He supposedly died in a bathtub in Paris. But Jim Morrison, like, he was like the poster child for rebellion. And his dad was Admiral Morrison. So,
Yeah, but that's the thing with most of these guys, right?
oh,
The
yeah,
the the
Courtney
bands
Love's
from the
daddy is the manager for the
60s.
Grateful Dead. He was the manager for
Yeah.
the Grateful Dead for years.
Yeah, that's such a weird thing. How do you think they think about that? They're just promoting their children, or are they actually thinking about anything?
Well, right off the bat, right? Right off the gate. Okay, the way I figure it is, we know that all the royal families intermarry to the point where it's gross. Meghan Markle and Kate Middleton are cousins of the people that they married. The Queen Elizabeth was married to her second cousin, Prince Philip. Second cousin. Yeah, that's why other kids look inbred. But the thing is like these families. People say it's because they want to keep the wealth in the family or the power in the family. I'm like, no, dude, no. I think that they're different than us. I think that they've got the Rh negative bloodline. Which, by the way, when you have Rh negative blood when you're pregnant, you have to get shots because your body will try to kill the baby, and maybe even you, because your body rejects it. But it's Rh negative blood in these families. Some people say the 13 families. I can't find enough legitimate, like documented proof to say that that's exactly what it is. But there's a reason why you have Skull and Bones at Harvard. There's a reason why you have Bohemian Grove. There's a reason why they have these Hollywood parties that you and I, no matter how hard we try, will never get into. That they have these creepy secret society groups, and of course they intermarry. And that's the thing. I think that they really want to preserve and keep their pure bloodline. I also think that comes with more than that. I think, I joke around and call, the elites, I hate that word because they're not better than us. They're trash, if anything. That they're murderers and monsters. And I call them lizard people. I don't believe in actual lizard people, but I'll tell you what they do have. They have a propensity to use their lizard part of their brain. They're reptilian in that aspect. They don't have empathy. They don't have empathy, and they don't find joy in the things that you and I would find joy in. They don't have the same desires and wants. They're very different people than us. They say like, it takes a lot to want to be an actress in Hollywood. And I'm like, no, I think you got to be like in the family to be able to want to do that. You have to be a special kind of crazy.
Yeah, for sure. And there's a lot of Hollywood celebrities coming out talk, especially the Disney ones. It
Huh,
seems to have some fucked up thing going around.
dude. I gotta say, like, I don't know if you remember this, but like earlier, I think it was earlier this year, Bob Saget, who was America's dad after Cosby, so whatever that is, he went to Orlando, he hit himself in the head 2 or 3 times and tucked himself and put himself to bed. He knocked himself unconscious and then tucked himself into bed. And the joke that I kept making was like, oh, there's another opening at Club 33 now. Do you know what Club 33 is?
Yeah, no, I just heard
Club
about Club
33 is the
27.
super exclusive club at Disney. And you have to be first invited, and it's like $54,000 a year. And there is no guarantee, and they only have a certain number of people they allow in Club 33. And there's a lot of rumors about what goes on in Club 33, but you also remember there's that number 33 again. You see that a lot. 23 and 33, you see a lot. And the Club 33 thing, it's also satanic. There's a lot of other stuff that comes with that, but there's some weird stuff that's been going on in Disney since the beginning. Walt Disney didn't even like children. There's all these videos of him like being angry at kids. He didn't like kids at all. Did you know that?
No, I didn't know that. I did know
Oh,
he
he did not
promoted
care for children.
not
Hang on a second. I'm going to
Hitler.
grab some real quick.
Dude.
Here it is. So, these things are trying to kill me. Have you ever heard of this book?
Weird scene. No, maybe.
It's called Weird Scenes Inside the Canyon. It's by David McGowan. This tells you everything you need to know about music and pop culture, especially like the 60s, and what they were doing and all the weird, ritualistic things that were going on. And it's so crazy how many of these things are connected. And there's really a lot of like really creepy occult stuff that goes on in Hollywood, in Laurel Canyon. And all these people are connected. They're all and it also interconnected with the CIA. There's like all these CIA operatives that have come out of the hippie scene. They had the Haight Ashbury clinic that they were giving people acid to and doing experiments on for the CIA. Then they had Operation Midnight Climax. There's a lot of stuff. So it would make sense that Jim Morrison's dad would be the Admiral Morrison, because high military ranking parents, they're going to have their kids get involved with Hollywood, because the agenda that goes on there, we may never know all the facts, but we do know about MK Ultra. There's too many documents not to. And we do know about the Mockingbird media stuff. We know that they've been manipulating us for, since the beginning of the CIA, since the OSS. So it makes sense that high ranking military parents would want their children to get involved in Hollywood. What people don't realize is before Hollywood, America wasn't on the map. We were not culturally important. We were not culturally significant. Europe was. Hollywood literally changed the world. Everyone wants to be an American. Well, maybe not now, but everybody wanted to be an American because of Hollywood. Think about that. Why didn't any other countries have this kind of movie, push? What was special about Hollywood?
Yeah, for sure. They have some significance in the culture war, and they're trying to. Because I was watching now, because I have time before we started, I was watching a series called SWAT.
I'm glad your TV worked.
And they
My
had
power turned off early, y'all. So
yeah, but they had an episode called whatever, Crisis Actors, yeah. And it was pretty much an Alex Jones character talking about a school shooting that was fake, and that's the episode. And
Alex Jones' daddy was also CIA, right?
I don't know that.
Yeah,
he's been.
He
both his parents, right?
Yep. I think, is it Little Wayne or is it? I always get Little John and Little Wayne. I always get them confused. I don't know why, but one of them is like a genius, and both their parents are astrophysicists and like astronauts and stuff.
Okay.
Yeah, Britney Spears' father was high-ranking military, so was Justin Timberlake's father. Also, Disney kids.
Yeah, that's That's a weird one with Disney. I don't know what to think about it. As I said before, was going for the book. I know Disney he was promoting Hitler, so that says something about him. He made the
Sometimes I
Mickey
wonder if Hitler
Mouse
even knew
thing.
what was going on. I think that sometimes that he didn't know. I don't know why I think that. I can't really back that up, but it seems like I don't think that he knew about the final solution. I think that what was going on in like Auschwitz and stuff, I think that was a Goebbels thing, you know, and a Mengele thing.
Yeah, maybe. I know a lot of Hitler's guys had some occult stuff and they had their
Yes.
rituals. So I don't
I mean,
know.
everybody's seen Indiana Jones, right?
Yeah. Yeah. But they did it in real life too. So I don't know if Hitler
Well, you
was
know, we
in
never
it.
found a body for him, right?
Yeah, I know.
The Soviets said they had it. They let one scientist go and look at it, and the scientist swears it was the bones of a female.
Yeah.
Poor
Yeah,
Ava
that's
Braun, though. She gets married, and the next second she's got to take. She's like, "Really, really? I get married to you finally, and now I have to die? This is bullcrap." Like, I feel so bad for Ava Braun. She didn't kill anybody, and let's face it. Like, you know, Hitler was an awful person, no questions asked, hands down, worst, one of the worst people ever. But he did love his country, and he wasn't as bad as the Japanese. The Japanese did way more horrible like atrocities than Germany ever did. And what's hilarious is that the Emperor of Japan never served a day. There were no Nuremberg trials for Japan. Matter of fact, Obama's grandmother, who was running the Bank of Hawaii, helped bail out Japan after the war to get them back. The reason they are a technical superpower is because of us. We're their military. They don't even have to have a military. We're it.
shit, I didn't know that.
I
I
mean,
guess
look what
that's
happened to Dresden. Why
reparation because
didn't
you
Dresden was awful? So why is Nagasaki and Hiroshima and Japan special as opposed to like what happened? Because those were civilians. The civilians didn't know about the camps. The civilians had no idea. Like matter of fact, at the end of the war, when after they liberated Auschwitz, I think it was Auschwitz, they had to walk. The military in the United States, or maybe it's the Russians, walked all the townspeople through the camp because they had no idea what was going on there. They didn't know. And they were all starving. Oh my God, it was awful. World War I was just as bad. The Germans really got their butts kicked at the end of the war. They were literally starving. There's babies that were dying of like left and right, babies that were dying of malnutrition. They were eating like cotton sacks and stuff like that, just whatever they get their hands on. They hadn't seen an egg in like 4 years because we let what is it? Damn it, what's it called when you don't let people get their stuff? Embargoed them. So what happened in Germany? Don't get me wrong. What the Nazis did was awful. But how many of those people didn't know what the hell they were doing though? You know?
yeah,
And
yeah,
you
I
know how
don't
easy
know.
it is to get the youth to get involved? That's why they had Hitler Youth. Is because Hitler understood that if you get the youth involved and brainwash them when they're little, they'll be loyal to you for life. We're seeing it happen with the California stuff with the left right now. That's why they go after the kids every time. Because if you brainwash the children, you don't have to worry about it. They're in it for life.
You're talking about the trans issues or just in
Oh,
general?
well, the trans issues are actually Baphomet worship, but I'll hang on to that. I'll write it down a note for later. I don't want to get off topic too much. Do you know who Baphomet is?
Ah, yes, yes, of course.
Yeah, yeah. Or maybe just they all love Michelle Obama that much they want to copy her.
Ah, yeah.
I wonder when she's having her bottom surgery.
uh, so this went in the deep end real fast here, but yeah, I like it.
Mm. You ever seen that video from Ellen? And it's Michelle Obama and Ellen are dancing, and you can just see
Ah, yeah, yeah, I've seen it. I've seen it.
it looks like there's a
It's
gerbil in her pants. But I mean, don't get me wrong. Like, I mean, I wonder if like when Michelle Obama was there, she still whipped her and like her interns with a car antenna for smelling like mayonnaise.
I mean, the Ellen video, it looks like she's packing. Like it's not a small one.
Well, how do I put this? Ellen's always been a bitch. So that wasn't a new thing. I mean, one of my friends like does comedy and he worked with her like back in the 90s and he said she was a biatch then. He's like, I'm not surprised at all. All this stuff is kept. Have you seen the whole James Corbin thing that's going on right now?
No, I just heard he quit. I don't know why.
James Corbin, who is he's got a show. He gotten big and had that awful, awful remake of Cats. Oh God, worst movie ever. But he got in trouble because one of the guys the owner of Balthazar, which is like a restaurant in New York, lauded him out on social media and said that he's banned from the restaurant for life for being a horrible person. What is it he called him? I can't remember what it was, but it was awful. And so what happened is like the media started picking up the story because the guy that owns Balthazar is actually a really nice restaurant. He would bitch out waiters, and then everyone in Europe, everyone in Britain is like, dude, we've hated him for years. He was always like that. And then you've got one of the guys from the Try Guys. His wife came out. She used to be a waitress. She goes, oh yeah, like he would scream at people. He was awful over like his eggs. He would like demand free drinks and stuff. So like James Corbin like apologized, right? Because everyone came down on him real hard. And then he went and did an interview the next day, and he was like, oh, I don't think it's a big deal. I don't know everybody's making such a big deal out of it. I didn't really do anything. So the owner of Balthazar banned him again. He like let him back in because he apologized, right? And then he's like, you're banned for life. So James Corbin has just canceled himself because he's pulled an Ellen. He treats like the people underneath him so badly. And it's so disrespectful. It's like little people that, people won't stand for that. And I think that that's an excellent thing because we need to understand like these people, just because you're in a movie and your face is in a movie, doesn't mean you're special, you know? Money doesn't make you a good person either. Money doesn't mean crap. It just means that like you are able to buy nicer cars. What was it? Biggie Smalls had the song where he's like, more money, more problems. No, it's more money, different problems. you
Mm.
know?
Yeah, Ellen and James Corbett. It's kind of weird because they're so nice on TV. So
They're
when
acting.
yeah, and
They're good at it, except for
I
cats.
guess that's the clue. If you see someone on TV that's supposedly too nice, you should be suspicious in the future, I
Oh,
guess.
absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, Bill Cosby, right?
Yeah,
Right?
and Kevin Spacey, I guess.
Yeah.
And
And he was faking that limp the whole time.
yeah. The weirdest thing about Kevin Spacey when he was caught fucking kids, he came
Men.
out with was it on Instagram or wherever he did it, in character, and talked about like creepy shit. Like he was like, if you're going to take me down, I'm going to take everybody else, and blah blah blah. I'm like,
You can also
okay.
add Tom Hanks to the creepy list.
Yeah, he had the pictures of different shoes, was it right?
Yeah, the shoes and the socks of children. And then there was the whole Isaac Cappy thing.
Oh yeah, the guy that supposedly jumped on the freeway.
Well, there's I think it's called, his name is the Phoenix Enigma. He actually was driving back from doing a tour of the Grand Canyon and happened to get caught in traffic right after it happened. So he started investigating it, and he became like a conspiracy theory investigator. He just like was a random person, and he's like, this doesn't look right, and dug into it. And now like that's what he does. He makes videos about all that kind of stuff. But he got like his phone records from his mother. Like there's all this stuff. Like there was dogs barking in his last video that like, and he didn't have a dog. And like he said, there was a dead man switch and this video came out. There's a bunch of weird stuff for that one. I actually used to communicate with Isaac Cappy because I was trying to, my friend Sam has the Tinfoil Hat podcast, and he was between booking agents, and I was like, I'll try and help you. So I was going back and forth with Isaac to see if I could get him on the show. So I mean, like I talked to him for like 2 or 3 months, a lot, and I went to go find the emails like a couple months ago. They're gone.
Yeah, that's dead internet. There's nothing
I
left.
didn't erase them. I've had the same email address for like 15 years. Gone.
Yeah, I just I have an Google Doc. That's stupid, but I do have one, and I couldn't access the Google Doc for like 2 weeks.
Oh, my Instagram got hacked in December. And they changed my phone number and everything. And they've been they almost got Alex Stein. They were this close to getting Alex Stein. Alex texted me, he's like, I almost sent you my past. Like, I was like, that's not me. Don't do that. They hacked my Instagram, and now they put up all these thirst trap pictures and all. Right. And so it's awesome because what they've done, and I've called, I've emailed, I have done the picture, I've done everything you think of that I'm supposed to do to get my account back. And it's been since December of 2021, my Instagram has been taken over by these people. That is my name tied to it. Like, this is, that's my career. That's my name. It's my image. And so now there's like all these thirst trap pictures that people think I'm sending of me to them. And in the future, if I ever like break out or have something come out of this, if I ever end up in a position like Alex Jones, that's going to be brought to the forefront and people are going to assume that was me. And there's nothing I can do to fix it. Instagram won't do a damn thing. I've had over 150 people report it as fraud. It is not being me. Nothing's been done. Not a thing.
Yeah, I know about one account on Facebook from an old girl that I actually went to school with, that her Facebook was taken over. Mm-hmm. And she just had to make a new one.
It is the penalty for being attractive.
Yeah, well, she's average, but anyway, she got her Facebook stolen. So yeah.
Hey, everybody has a type. So maybe to you she's average, but she might be like somebody's like queen. I mean, if the women from 600 Pound Wife can have boyfriends, anybody can.
Yeah. She's not ugly or anything. She's like a 7.
She's gonna listen to this and be really mad at you. I might find her myself and show it to her.
I doubt it. I would be surprised. But I have something.
Women, you can never depend on what they're going to get upset about. You can't. We're just a constant like smoking gun. You never know.
Yeah, that's true. But I was looking at your playlist and what podcast you have been visiting, and I saw a tagline. I really want you to explain more. Bloodline plantations. What the fuck does that mean?
Well, if you've been following the news at all, there's a little girl named Brittany Drexel that disappeared in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina in 2009, April, I think 25th, 2009. And her mother told her not to go because her mom said something bad was going to happen if she went. She went anyway. She disobeyed her mother. And you see her like walking out of a hotel, and that's it. She's gone. And the case is so convoluted and crazy. We would have to dedicate like 3 hours to just discussing this case. I wrote like a 720-page book that is unpublishable, at least until Dawn Drexel dies. But there's this thing that like people don't realize is that Brittany Drexel was blind in her right eye. She was born with a disease called PDHP, a birth defect, and she actually wore contacts, and she got surgery more than once in her eye. So she's blind in her right eye, right? And then, this is a super rare birth defect, by the way. I mean, it only affects like 1 in like a million people, right? A couple of years before that, in 2000, I think in 5, Madeline McCann disappeared, also blind in her right eye. She's got a disease called glioblastoma. Guess who else is blind in their right eye and has glioblastoma? George Soros. Then Brittany Drexel, like they had like this group of family. There's a bunch of other girls that are connected to her missing and her murder. There was a girl named Shannon McConaughey that disappeared in 1998, and it's a whole long thing, so I'm not going to try to get into it right now. But the guy that they pinned all this on, and it stinks. He got arrested in May, charged in May, like late May. As of last week, they charged him with murder and sentenced him in October. Have you ever seen that happen? You ever seen a case get wrapped up that quick? And here's the kicker. When you look at all those mugshot photos they put everywhere, blind in his right eye.
So, as you said,
just Google the picture real quick. Seriously, like when you see this, it stinks. And there's a family called, here we go. We're getting it. We're going to go. Let's go. There's a family called the Legandry family. The matriarch of the family was Gertrude Legandry. The daughter was Bakara Legandry. Gertrude Legandry was a socialite. She actually had a movie written about her and her brothers called Hollywood, starring Katharine Hepburn. She would have Bing Crosby over every New Year's for a costume party that she held on her property at Medway Plantation, which is the oldest plantation in the United States that's still standing. She had a big old piece of property, over 6,000 acres, up in Mount Holly, South Carolina. Okay, there's that Holly word again, right? Now, 9/11 hijackers, by the way, guess where they trained? Hollywood, Florida. Just saying, there's something to that. And Gertrude Legandry was the only woman who was ever taken prisoner by the Nazis in Paris. She escaped. Her guards were kind to her, and she escaped by running over the Swiss border, waving her passport in the air, because, they let you keep that when you're a prisoner in war for the Nazis, right? And the two guards that she had that were watching over her in Paris, she got them naturalized as American citizens and brought over here as part of Project Operation Paperclip. She was OSS, which is the precursor to CIA. She was a big game hunter, which, you know, if you know anything about the Black Forest with the Rothschild plantations in like Germany and all, and like, there's a lot of stuff there. A lot of that in Canada too. But she's a big game hunter. And she bought the plantation in 1929 when everybody was, this is after Black Friday, when everybody's like shit can broke. She bought Medway Plantation for like nothing. And then she got the whole property declared a bird sanctuary. So, you know, if anything ever happens, you can't get a cadaver dog on, like, you know, through 8 different organizations, right, to get a dog on the property. It backs up to Mepkin Abbey, which had a major problem with little boys being abused back in the 1960s. And her daughter is Bakara Legandry. When Gertrude died in 2000, Bakara took over the property, Medway Plantation. Bakara Legandry had the Medway Institute with Linda Rothschild and David Rockefeller, and they would come to South Carolina and have alien like missions where they would like try and communicate with aliens in Medway Plantation. She was the only, you know the picture of the video of Robert Kennedy getting shot in the hotel, Bobby Kennedy, when they murdered him in 1968.
I've heard about it. I have not seen a video now.
Every single picture, every single video of Robert Kennedy being shot, Bakara Legandry took those. She's the only person who managed to get pictures or video of it.
Oh, really?
She was a socialite in New York. She also was an artist. She would draw extremely detailed pictures of hearts, which is interesting because I had a neurologist friend of mine look at it, and she goes, there's no way that she could, that is not what a heart looks like in like a jar. That had to be a heart directly out the body.
Okay.
Yeah. And then here's the kicker. In 1987, oh God, Annette Sagers, and I can't remember the mama's name right now. It's like right there. I'll think of it after this is over probably. But Annette Sagers and her daughter disappeared exactly 11 months apart at the end of the road in Mount Holly. And they said in all the police reports that it was a 6,000 something acre plantation, and that the husband of the woman that got kidnapped and the daughter disappeared was the caretaker of the property. And they said it was Mount Holly Plantation, but Mount Holly Plantation was an aluminum plant at the time. Now, guess what's built in Mount Holly Plantation? A Google secret warehouse. And this little girl and the mother disappeared exactly a year apart at the end of the road. Car was wiped clean, never seen again. That was Medway. They lied on the police reports. They lied. There was no plantation. There was no 6,000 acres. That was Medway. And they had all these creepy parties there. And the daughter and the mother disappeared a year apart, right? And then the day that Brittany Drexel, they announced that they caught the Brittany Drexel guy with the blind eye, right underneath it, the next article was about them trying to find and identify a woman who disappeared in 1977. They found her body, guess where? At the end of the road for Medway Plantation.
It must have been more than one murder.
Yes, and it all, there's a forest called the Francis Marion Forest, and there's all these girls that have gone missing for as far back as you can think of, and it's all connected to this forest. And when I realized after the Brittany Drexel thing, when you look at where her phone last pinged, you know, it was right where you go to turn off into the Francis Marion Forest. And I grew up riding dirt bikes in my family as part of the Family Riders Association, doing the Swamp Fox Enduros, and like, you know, I would do checkpoints. So I spent a lot of time up there. We were there like every other weekend. So I know that wood, that forest like the back of my hand. And I noticed that where her phone last pinged, that's the road that you cut through to get to guess where? Mount Holly.
Okay, so just to try to understand if you're going through some details I've never heard about. So we have a CIA woman escaping from Germany, bringing some German prison guards with her, starting up a plantation, which the elites come.
She bought a plantation.
Okay, to kill people with the disease.
I think so, yes. I think the same thing went on in the Vanderbilt plantation as well. And I think that's what happened at the Black Forest estate that they put on sale on a fire sale. Here's the kicker though. There's more. So Gertrude Legander, who's the mother, right? She died March 8th, 2000. On March 31st, 2000, for the first time since the mother and the daughter disappeared in the 80s, Berkeley County Sheriff's Office got an anonymous phone call saying that they knew where the bodies were, right? Guess where that location was, where they found Brittany Drexel's body.
Was that also outside the forest on the road?
And so, I mean, clearly somebody felt guilty, you know? And then after Brittany Drexel disappeared, Mepkin Abbey, which is like the Catholic, Mepkin, what is it called? The like hermitage or whatever they go to, where they like are monks or whatever, they would sell their eggs to all these different like local gas stations, and that's how they would like provide for themselves. They would not let DHEC on the property, and so they quit being able to sell their eggs. At the same time, the property for Medway went up for sale by Bakar Legandry and like a fire sale. Guess who it got sold to? The Onassis, a cousin of the Onassis, and a shipping magnate. You still can't get on the property though. It's still a bird sanctuary. She also did a whole bunch of changes to the house without any like permits being filed or anything. So she made a lot of changes to the, who knows what's on that property or under that property. I'll tell you this much. Anybody who worked for her won't peep, nothing. Boop. And they're both dead. And they won't talk about it.
Okay. So yeah, this is a weird ass fucking story.
I think there's a bunch of properties like that all over the United States where these psychopaths, you gotta think about it, like the only reason that like people get caught is because they're poor. You don't have rich serial killers. You got rich serial rapists, but never rich serial killers, right?
Yeah.
So why is that? Because they cover up for it.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what they said about Jack the Ripper.
Yeah, but why would they kill people with the disease?
Sacrifice, honey. The same thing that went on in Bohemian Grove. You've seen the Alex Jones video, the one that put him on the map, where he sneaks into Bohemian Grove and he gets a video of the cremation of care ceremony in front of the Owl God Moloch, where all these super rich people and politicians and all, they cast their cares onto the effigy of a child, which is then burned in front of the Owl God Moloch, because in their religion they believe that if they cast their cares onto a child and burn the child, gross, right? Effigy, we hope, then they don't have to feel guilt for the bad things they've done. It's the same reason that they use like predictive programming, where you'll be like, oh my God, that happened, Simpsons did it, or that happened in that movie. Because if we don't do anything about it, in their minds, they're scot-free. They didn't do anything wrong. They're not, it's our fault for not doing anything about it, They literally cast their cares as a group onto a child and burn it in front of the Owl God Moloch. There's all kinds of creepy. Have you ever seen that opening ceremony for CERN?
Ah, yeah, that's so crazy. Satanic.
Creepy, right? There's a lot of like occult stuff that goes on. People just don't notice it. I mean, for example, the Olympics, like there's a lot of occult rituals, like ancient religions. They didn't die. There's still like remnants of that. I mean, look at what the Masons are into. Look at all that. Like there's a lot of stuff that got carried over, And if you think for 1 second, like I said, that this agenda in Hollywood's Baphomet worship, Baphomet's the same statue they put up across from the Arkansas, like courthouse, I think it was. They put up a statue of Baphomet, dude, right? Like these gods, they never died. So it makes you wonder if like maybe they're not real entities,
Yeah. So do you think the entities they pray to actually give them power?
No, but I think that they do a really good job of faking it. It's like when you go to a psychic, right? Like psychics can never tell you the future because they don't know the future. It's impossible. It hasn't happened yet. So they can tell you everything you need to know about who you are right now and where you've been before. And it's because like they're charlatans sometimes. Sometimes they really are psychics. But that's because like there's dark things whisper in their ears, because the dark things were here when all that happened. That's why they can never predict the future. Though they're not there. They're not omnipresent. They're not capable of it. They don't know the future. They always get the future wrong. They tried. You ever heard of Project Looking Glass?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. they still like, it's so hilarious that like, you know, Peter Peter Venkman got like his funding pool, which is the whole premise of the movie Ghostbusters, right? No one in academia is studying paranormal at all. You would think they would. It is future science. We don't know what it is. 1 in every 3 people has a ghost story. The first ghost story documented was Socrates.
Yeah, but if we go back to Project Looking Glass, and they made the movie Men That Stare at Goats. So you talked about going to the CIA website in the beginning. So they have documented stuff about trying to like watch stuff, like you see
Yeah,
it in your head, you see other houses, you
the
see
military still
people.
uses that.
Yeah.
What they do is, and they'll tell you about it. Generals will tell you like there's different kinds of what's the word, of like information you can get. You've got, you know, you got paper trail information. You've got something you can get out of someone from interrogation. You've got maps. There's different like intel you can get. But they have a team of psychics trying to like find people and like, yeah, like walking through their missions and stuff. The military believes in psychics, right? The military has paid a lot of money to do these projects, and the CIA and all these other government agencies as well. But for some reason, if you bring up to an academic professor like that ghosts are real, they'll look at you like you've grown an extra head. No one will study it. Maybe because they won't give grants for it. Again, maybe that's because Peter Venkman had his funding pool. I don't know. But for some reason, that's not something that people are looking into. And it's shocking because 1 in 3 people has an experience that they can't explain. You know? We should be looking into that. If there is something other than us occupying our space dimensionally, I think we should know what that is. I think we should be able to protect ourselves. I'm not afraid of aliens invading, but I sure as hell am afraid of the dark things that go bump in the night that I know exist among us. And and it's just, I think that this is like all this stuff that's been going on in the media, all this stuff that's been going on in the world. I really do think that there's something going on, either astrologically, or there's something going on where there's a big push now to get us as dark as possible, as quickly as possible. Everything is fear based. It's a very dark world we live in right now, and it changed, I think, in 2012
Oh, after the Mayan calendar, or
after CERN.
CERN. Okay. Yeah, that's
They
a
were
lot of
trying to
theories
create
about.
a mini black hole that will definitely, you know, alter our reality. I think we're living in an alternate reality, or maybe two realities like blended together. I think that explains the Mandela effect.
Yeah, the two realities, at least in America, it's a thing, because I was listening to Bill Maher this past weekend.
He
Yeah,
looks. I can't tell him and Rachel Maddow apart at all.
no, that's why I listen to those guys. And the funny thing is, his speech about the Republicans is pretty much the same speech Tim Pool does when he talks about the
No, not
Democrats.
really, because he just did an interview I watched yesterday, where he interviewed Dave Rubin, like on his like I
Oh,
forget what it's
Bill Maher
called,
did?
random something, a podcast. And he, like, Dave Rubin is a Republican. He's got it started. You know who he is? I'm sure everybody knows who he is.
Yeah,
He
sure.
started Locals, and now he owns Rumble, which is awesome. And he's trying to make it where it's censorship free. But Dave Rubin and Bill Maher were like getting along. I kind of like for a while there, I was like, oh, you know, he's actually pretty personable, even if he's part of the Red Shoe Society. He seems like he's pretty nice. Like he's not really annoying right now. And then like Rubin pushed it and he was like, would you vote for DeSantis? And he is like, I don't want to talk about politics. And then he goes off on this like Trump derangement syndrome, like bleh, like
Yeah,
rant for
that's
like
what I
three
mean.
minutes.
That
And I was like,
he did that
oh, never
on
mind.
HBO
Tim Pool
too.
never does that.
No, Tim Pool is I feel like because I'm watching him every day, and I'm like, I think he has got a bit too much of the military complex dudes on his show, and that has changed his mind.
Well, that's because it's really hard to get that information. Again, like I know where to go. I just explained to anybody who listens to this where to go, but most people don't know where to get like the facts. And Tim is very much about sticking to the facts. Although I'll be honest with you, I like Tim Pool. You know, he is kind of a milk toast fence setter, but it bothered me when he got rid of Krigler and brought in Lydia. I don't know what was going on. There was some kind of drama there that nobody talked about, probably because they have to sign NDAs. And then there was that whole Jack Murphy thing that made the best Christmas vacation ever last year. I was like, this is awesome. Every day I was like following that like so closely. It was horrible. It was awesome. It was awful. That guy is such a freaking like charlatan and a creeper. And like, I don't know how Tim didn't pick that up because I didn't like the guy from day one. So I'm like, oh, every time he would come on, I wouldn't watch that episode, you know? After that, I really haven't been watching as much Tim Pool. I don't really trust him. I really don't. I think that he tries to make everything sound like it's a culture war thing and it's just a political thing. But I think there's a lot of spiritual warfare going on, and I don't think his brain can compute what really is happening. He's getting closer to it. Luke Rogowski is like definitely like helping him with that. But like, when we say that there's people out there sacrificing kids, that's not like a crazy concept. I mean, abortion happens every single day, and we know Planned Parenthood was selling body parts like of babies, like without telling anybody. We know all that stuff happened. So I mean, yeah, there definitely is child sacrifice that goes on today. I mean, Son of Sam screamed for years from prison that he was a patsy and that he was actually just delivering people for them to sacrifice in the satanic group, you know. And but then everybody brings up the satanic panic of the 80s. Like, it's not real. No, dude, it's real. And people do that stuff. It happens all the time. If you don't believe me, go to underground in like Las Vegas and see all the creepy chickens people sacrifice and stuff. And like, you've seen like stuff like that, right? In tunnels when you're a kid. People are still sacrificing things. It's just that the media doesn't cover it. If anything, they try not to cover it. And people like Tim Pool, their brains can never get there. They will never get where they need to go. But guess who did? Dr. Drew did. Dr. Drew did a interview. Forget the guy's name, but they're like child sacrifice, satanic child religious sacrifice is happening. Drew, Dr. Drew. So I mean, that's just Tim Pool. If he hasn't gotten there yet, and Drew has, I don't know if he's ever going to get there. He doesn't want to believe that this is a religious war because he himself is not religious. But this is definitely a spiritual war. Now, I'm not talking about like God is right and everyone. What I'm saying is that these people are still worshiping the same gods that they've worshipped since the beginning of time. It's all the same gods, you know, Baal.
So yeah, the thing we was talking about. So I was looking up the guy I was thinking about. So it's Ronald Bernard, and he was a banker in Europe, and he was working for, I think it was the International Monetary Fund, IMF, and he came out. He has videos like, I think the interview is like 5 hours or something, but he talks about he was invited to child sacrifice events and stuff like that when he climbed the ladder, and then he didn't want to do it, so he just came out and whistleblowed instead. But
Well, I mean, we gotta remember, like these people, like, they have all the money they could possibly want. They have titles, they got power, some power, but so they've got everything they want. The one thing they can't have is like the stuff that's, you know, non-human power. Again, like I said, I think that I mean this. I think that their bloodline is different than ours. I don't think they're like us. Like one of these things is not like the other. You know, I think that we are different from them because like empathy is not something that you're taught. It's something that you're born with, you know, and that's what's wrong with serial killers and psychopaths. They don't have any empathy. They've got wind chimes, but they don't have empathy. If you ever see someone with wind chimes, run. Psychopath, definitely. But these people, like, there's something broken where they don't feel the way we feel, and they get joy. Like for me, like giving my mom like a really nice, you know, present for Mother's Day and her smiling and us having a great morning, that brings me joy. You know, watching videos of puppy dogs on YouTube brings me joy. These people, the thing that brings them joy is like making children suffer and like kicking people out of an apartment building, making them homeless. Like that's what these people enjoy. I think there's some people that are taught to lose their empathy. I think it's one of the problems that we have with these CEOs. I mean, think about it like this. If you're an alcoholic, right, or you're a drug addict or you're a sex addict, like there's a societal price to pay for that. Like everyone's like, oh no, you know, like, you know, he's not going back to that Chili's. You know, like he had rock bottom and everybody's talking about you and you lose all your friends because, you know, your drive for these things cause you to lose your family and friends. You lose everything until you hit rock bottom and you get clean and sober. You lose everything. But the same thing happens with CEOs. They're workaholics. If they get rid of their family, they get a bonus. You know?
Yeah, I can see that.
if they get divorced at 30, guess what? Well, that means that they keep more money later on with their second wife.
Yeah,
That's how these people
addicted
think.
to power and money.
I think they're addicted to power and money. But I mean, you also have to ask yourself, like, what drives that? I mean, if anything, people that are up in the higher, echelon of society are rich. I mean, talk to other rich people all the time. You know that they know that money isn't even real. Like, it's not worth anything. That's why it says in God we trust. It's not backed up to anything. Nixon, the gold standard and all that. Like, it's not worth anything. It's just what we say and have trust in it that it is worth the value of. So if you wanted to get $40,000 out of the bank right now, let's say, my ex he was very well off. And when the pandemic first hit, he went to go to the bank. And this is before lockdowns and everything, which right when it started getting really bad, he's like, I'm gonna take some money out. So he went to the bank to go get out $40,000. It took him 2 hours and 2 banks, and he had to sign a bunch of forms to get his own money out of the bank he put it in. They won't give you $40,000 worth of cash. They don't even have it. So I'm like, what's going on with these? Like, who will rob a bank? I guess they don't get much, huh? Think about that. Your bank doesn't even have $40,000 of cash.
Yeah,
that's crazy, right?
Yeah,
where's all the money?
Yeah, they don't have anything. It's just digital money.
It's a Ponzi scheme or something. Well, that might not be the right term, but yeah, it's very creepy. I mean, what do you think about Julian Assange?
What I think about Julian Assange?
Why do you think they still have him locked up?
I think it's politics. They just want revenge because he came out and
I pressed a button, didn't hear anything you said. I'm sorry.
I think it's politics. They hate
You think it's
him.
just for the WikiLeaks thing?
Yeah, they hate him because he gave up information that they wanted to have hidden, and now they're basically teenage kids that you rather than me, I'm gonna make your life a hell, and that's how I see it. Because the media
What if I were to tell you that Julian Assange is part of a group called the Cypherpunks, and other than Satoshi, he's like #1 when it comes to being responsible for the creation of Bitcoin. What if I were to tell you that I don't even think Satoshi's real? Remember, he disappeared, and there's only 2 pictures of him, and he's in a wheelchair. I think Satoshi was made up. I think Julian Assange created Bitcoin, and I think the central banking system desperately needs the code of the blockchain so they can control all the currency in the world. And that's why he's locked up in a London prison. By the way, the worst first world prison in the world. That's why he's in a London prison now, because London has different rules than the rest of England because it's a capital of the central banking system. That's what Brexit was really about too.
Yeah, as City of London, not London. It's a small place in London. Yeah. Okay, yeah, that's interesting.
Think about that. They don't have him charged with anything. Matter of fact, the last witness and all that, I think it was December of 2020. Don't quote me on it. Maybe it's 2021. They had a guy that came up, and of course, all the newspapers covered it. And he was the witness, but he recanted his statement and said, "I never actually saw this, and I can't lie." So there's no charges against him. They will not extradite him back to the United States. Joe Biden actually, one of the things he talked about when he was campaigning was that he was going to get Julian Assange extradited back to the United States. He wasn't, and then they did the same thing to John McAfee.
Oh yeah,
you know what they got him for?
Do tell.
He didn't pay his taxes for 7 years, although he didn't live in the United States for 9.
Oh, it's a U.S. tax issue?
Yes. And they tried to arrest him before in Guatemala because he was summoned to a civil lawsuit and didn't show up in America while he's in Guatemala. Think about that.
Yeah,
it's weird, right?
Yeah, that's the same weird issue with Assange, because they are prosecuting for treason, but he's not American.
I think they straight up actively torture him every single day. And you know how you know that? Because people like Cassandra Fairbanks, when they go to visit him, they have to wait an extra 48 hours. And they said that they see bruises and stuff on him. They beat the shit out of him every single day. And he won't give up. I think that he's got the code of the Bitcoin blockchain. I think that he knows the secret. And here's why. Because I think John McAfee and Kim.com both also had pieces of the code for the Bitcoin blockchain. And here's why. Because Kim.com got charged like all this crazy, like child pornography craziness. A bunch of that got thrown out too. And then the next thing you know, like the Bitcoin has now become like more centralized. Then after John McAfee, right around the time that John McAfee got arrested in Spain, that was when we had the Colonial Pipeline incident. And if you remember, if you read, a lot of news, the original title, when they said that they got the money back, was that they had cracked the code to the Bitcoin blockchain and that they had gotten the money to return to the Colonial Pipeline. By the way, it was only like $5 million. Chump change. Really? All that over $5 million? Also, my ex-boyfriend, he was like the CEO for like a major security company. Every day they have somebody whose job it is to stay an extra hour while they back up everything and put it on a little disk. Everybody does that. Nobody just goes and like, oh, well, hope we don't get hacked tonight. We don't have any backups, right? Like, that's insane. And that was right about the same time. And they said that they had infiltrated this Russian group and that they had strong-armed the Bitcoin and gave it back to the Colonial Pipeline.
So what do you think happened to the McAfee's dead man switch?
Well, there was some stuff that did get released at the same time. I don't really want to go into details of it, and some of it I don't even know if I'm allowed to speak about. I was friends with him since 1989. He used to call me from like all over the world. By the way, he's definitely dead. So I hate that conspiracy theory. It makes me mad. Because if he was alive, trust me, he couldn't keep his mouth shut this long. No way. They would have to kill him. But he told us all that they were going to kill him. The last time I spoke to him was about 2 months. He called me from jail about 2 months before, he died. And I was trying to set him up because he wanted to be able to tell his story. And because, again, like he's being held for failure to pay taxes, which after 7 years, like it was 9 years. He lived in the United States for 9 years. You can't force taxes out of somebody who doesn't live in the United States. If you don't own property in the United States, you don't have to pay taxes in the United States, right? That's what I think the law is. I mean, if there's anybody out there that's an expert on it, please let me know. But that's the way I understood it to be. And like, that's a bullshit charge. And they held him and refused to extradite him. And they refused to let him in front of a judge. And they refused to issue like actual charges. There was a lot. They did the same thing to him that they did to Assange. And I think that if he hadn't died, he'd probably still be doing the same thing. And they probably beat the shit out of him every single day, right? Leave us the money, Lebowski, right? Every single day. Where's the money? Every day. And I think that Julian Assange has been beaten, tortured. I think he's a political prisoner. I think what John McCain went through, not John McAfee, but John McCain, what he went through in that POW camp, I think that's exactly what's happening to Julian Assange right now.
Yeah, that's super interesting. I've never heard about this angle about this issue.
Well, it makes sense. I don't think Satoshi was real. I mean, we got what, 2 pictures of the guy? He's a myth.
Yeah. Satoshi
it's
is
a smart myth,
obviously
right?
a ghost. Though.
Yeah. Well, I mean, think about it. Do you think that Julian Assange knew when he created Bitcoin that it wasn't going to bump up against the central banking system at some point? How many times have we tried to tank it? Right now, it's insane. It will not, like, because I have some money in Bitcoin. Right now, it will not go above like $19,000. It won't. It will not. And I don't understand how. That's ridiculous. Like, there's a guy in Columbia, South Carolina, which is like 2 hours away from me. He just bought a home with Origin, right? With a crypto token. He just bought a home. So that's not, out of all the Bitcoins, all the cryptocurrencies, the shit coins are worth doing better than Bitcoin. It doesn't make any sense unless it's purposeful. It's intentionally being held down. If you recall, not long after Trump was elected, there was this crazy phenomenon where the stock market went up and then went down 666 points in one day. And I think that was done to let anybody who knows, anybody who's in the know that they can control anything they want. They can control the stock market. Matter of fact, if you don't believe me, look at what JP Morgan did. That's exactly what he made all his money off, controlling the stock market. He tried to do it with the oceans, with the Titanic and the Lusitania and all. He owned the Titanic. Did you know that? JP Morgan did, as part of his International Mercantile Marine, whatever it is. And he was trying to be like Carnegie with the oceans. So of course these people that got together, Jekyll Island, the creature from Jekyll Island, right? Of course they try to control everything. So what makes people think like, oh, that can't happen now? The government's so much more trustworthy. Do we know what these people are doing? When Nancy Pelosi makes more in the stock market than Warren Buffett, we got problems because she ain't that bright and she's probably drunk right now.
Yeah, you're bringing up so much different conspiracies. So it's
That's what you told me to do, right?
yeah, it's fine. It's fine. It's fine. I'm just thinking about my friends that are like 10% in with me, and they're listening to
That's okay.
this, and
Everybody thinks
they're
I'm crazy
going.
anyways. So
They're not going to be able to follow it. But yeah, JP Morgan and he put the guys that was against the central banks on the Titanic and sank it.
like the
That's
central
the
banks again. It's like whack-a-mole. I mean, how many times do you have to see something to be like, okay, that's real? You know, uh, everybody right now in the conspiracy community, everyone's like, we gotta wake people up. We gotta wake people up. And I'm like, no, it's over. If people aren't awake by now, it's done. The ship has sailed. We need to catch people up. If someone's into this like 10%, we need to make sure they have the information that they need so that they can understand that how deep the water goes. And it's not always pretty information. It's not. But it's important that we know our own history, because how are we supposed to like have a better society in the future if we don't even know what happened now? It's our job to like be the historians, because the people that are in charge are not taking record, and they're not talking about this stuff. They don't want to. It challenges their power. So it's our job, like, to keep our eyes on the government,
yeah, for
because they're
sure.
not watching themselves.
And the thing you brought out up about Bitcoin, I was watching a video like 2-3 months ago from World Economic Forum. They had the IMF bank director and the Indian central banker and two central bank guys more, and they was laughing about Bitcoin
I know
going
exactly what
down,
you're talking about. I saw that too.
and it was like, this is why we need
The only reason
CBDC
all
and
the only reason all the other stuff exists, asshats, is because of Bitcoin. Somebody came up with an idea, probably Julian Assange, and you guys ran with it. But don't you understand? Like, Bitcoin, they cannot have it. They cannot have it because they control all of it, all the money in the world. One small group of people controls all of the money in the world. If we have a currency that they can't control, they can't. You have to be a monopoly. You have to be the only one. And the minute that you've got someone coming up on you got to eliminate your enemy. And so that's what they've been trying to do with Bitcoin. I hate to tell them this though, but like the more they like focus on that, the more counterculture it becomes, and the more cool it is, and the more people are going to get into crypto. And the next person who asks me or like wants to talk about cryptocurrency or an NFT in Twitter Spaces, I swear to God, I might quit the whole damn thing. Everybody wants to talk about crypto because like people that are into it are really into it, you know. But really, it's the
yeah.
thing. Our money is effed. If you haven't read The Creature from Jekyll Island, you can get a free PDF and you can actually listen to it. There are, I think, like audio versions of it too on YouTube. That is a book that it should be mandatory in schools. I keep it next to my Bible and my Black's Law Dictionary.
Yeah, it's pretty good to know how the central bank came about and what happened there.
And the shipping industry, people forget that ships were the planes of their day, right? How many times a day do you hear people talking about this, that plane, and this plane, and that plane? Like all day, every day, people talk about how much they hate flying and like, oh, this person didn't wear a mask, guys, on the news. Like that was how boats were back then. It was everything. It was pop culture. Like people that were famous, like they would literally like have a whole entrance ceremony where they got on the boat and like people would line up. Like it was really crazy. Like nowadays we think of these boats as being like cruise ships, but it was very different. It was like a ritualistic societal, thing where all the poor people would come out and watch the rich people get on these boats and like, oh, maybe one day I'll have a dress like that. It was entertainment before the movies. And people don't understand how pivotal and important that was. And so when we talk about like a plane crash, everybody talks about that for weeks, right? So back then when a ship, and there weren't that many ships, if a ship crashed, it was huge. So it's important to understand that when you controlled the ability, because there were no planes, there were Zeppelins, but they really weren't like ready for that. And then we had, the Hindenburg, so that didn't work out. But these boats, that was literally like they controlled who could travel and who could not travel. The same thing they're doing in China right now. And the same thing they're doing with planes right now. Did you know that United Airlines, as of today, or maybe it's American, they've gotten rid of first class on their international flights.
Oh, really? How
Yeah.
come?
They said that people weren't buying it, which is bullshit because every time I've gotten on a plane, first class is full. I know because I try to book it and it's not available.
So is the middle class poor now? And the elites have
See,
their own planes?
well, if you're going to go to a climate forum, right, you're going to take your jet. So anybody, I'm telling you, like, they even got things like Wheels Up now where you can like go get a jet from anywhere and you're like part of a club. Like rich people don't fly coach. They don't fly on planes. And even more so than ever now that you have like these little like Airbnb like jet, trips you can take. So what they've done is now they've eliminated the last bastion of class that used to be there when you fly. People used to get dressed up to get on planes. Now everybody looks like they're at Walmart. They take their shoes off. Ugh. But it used to be like a very, just like with the boats, it was a very big like deal. It was like an entrance ceremony and all. And people used to get dressed to the nines to fly. And, they got rid of first class because they don't think that we sheep deserve it. We're useless eaters. We should just eat the bugs and, have nothing and be happy. They can't understand why we're just not happy.
Yeah, that's a funny quote I got from my friend. He said, "You're so angry about the World Economic Forum." So I said,
everyone should be angry about the World Economic Forum.
Yeah, but the thing he said was like, the only thing you bring up is we are going to own nothing and we're gonna be happy. I'm like, isn't that a big issue?
Because that's horrifying.
Yeah.
See, that's what makes me, I don't know how that happens. Where's the disconnect where someone hears something horrible like that and doesn't go, wait, pump the brakes. What? We're going to eat bugs? Did you know? I think Tim Pool covered this. There's over 1,000 schools in Australia that are feeding effing bugs to school children already.
Yeah, he talked about it last week.
But what's next? Yeah. Christmas Island? Ugh.
Yeah, but the owning nothing it's funny how people doesn't really think about it, what that mean, because the friend
means you live in a van down by the river.
Yeah, but the friend that told me that he just bought a house. I'm like, you're not gonna own that house. Don't you understand?
The bank will own that house. BlackRock will own that house because we're going to be a entire population of strictly renters. No, the dream of the American home, that's not for us. That's for people that are important or people that need to be rewarded for their political work, for saying the right things and doing the right things. What did you think about this Alex Jones award?
I mean, it's just ridiculous. I don't know. Now they are going for $2.7 trillion. I was trying to figure
out. That is the GDP of France.
Yeah, I was trying to figure out what that number even means.
You can't get blood from a stone.
No, but
where's that money going to come from? And that's what's really disturbing is a judge let this happen and a jury did too. 12 people were like, yeah, that sounds good. Yeah, let's do that. He said some naughty words.
Yeah, but 1 trillion is 1 million millions.
$1 trillion.
Yeah, but I don't know even what that means because I was looking at it. It was like a billion is 31 days and 1 trillion is 31,000 years. So I'm like,
I'm not math girl, but I'll tell you this much.
It's just crazy.
None of us in our lifetime, I don't think anyone in their lifetime so far has earned that much money. So if you want to get paid, folks, maybe you shouldn't cancel him so he can make you your money. I mean, just saying, like you shot yourself in the foot there. I don't want to hear
I said the same thing to my girl. Like, if you're really serious about getting money, why don't you ask for like a $500,000 or something that he can
really
pay you?
About getting money, why don't you put him back on YouTube so he can earn that coin? Like, what's up? How is it? Like, dude, you want to get paid? Let the man say whatever he wants.
Yeah, basically. But
I mean, let's be
that's
honest. You know why Joe Rogan and Alex Jones are friends and have been forever, right?
no, do tell.
They both made their money selling vitamins.
That's true. That's true.
Hmm.
He's
Hmm.
selling. Yeah, they're both selling different kinds of
Yep.
vitamins. Yeah.
Isn't that interesting?
I wouldn't put that one to
I
one
don't know why
together,
they
but
haven't gone after Joe Rogan yet, the same way they went after Alex. I really
I
don't
mean,
know why they haven't done that yet.
I mean they've tried.
Or maybe he's one of them. I don't know. Or again, Alex Jones is dead with CIA, so who knows? Maybe this is all dog and pony show. Maybe it's all like, you gotta love like that they're like, we can't get Trump to show up, and then and Nancy Pelosi's like, he wouldn't dare. I'm like, wait, you want him there or not? Like, what's going on? And then they're like, well, we're not gonna interview him publicly, we're gonna do it privately. I'm like, well, then why interview him at all? Because isn't this supposed to be like a show for the people? Like, come on. Because nothing ever happens. I mean, everyone's like, Ron Paul really gave it to Dr. Fauci. They got him in. I was like, well, has he been fired? Has he been charged? He's still getting paid? Okay, well then I don't care what Rand Paul said.
Yeah, that's
This is all useless. This does nothing.
yeah,
When was the last time
that's
they sent up somebody from one of these committees where someone got arrested or lost their job or anything?
well, Steve Bannon. He's going to jail now.
Steve Bannon is not going to go to jail. I guarantee he's not going to go to jail. You know why he's not going to go to jail? Because he didn't do anything wrong. And he's going to appeal it. I'm telling you right now, this is all a show. Dude, they have been deleting people's YouTube channels leading up to this election. They do not want us to have a voice desperately. And they sure as shit don't like people like Steve Bannon that won't listen. He's like, no, I'm not showing up. Fuck it. Do whatever you got to do. Now, if they get him, I don't even know. Okay, I was a legal assistant paralegal, and I'm a notary right now in the state of South Carolina. And I worked for a law office for like 30-something years, and I loved the law. Again, I have a Black's Law Dictionary. I missed my calling. But I'll tell you this much. I do not understand, like, what the point of any of this stuff is. And I don't know if they can even, because it's not a judge and a jury. If you don't have the right to a jury, then it's not court. It's extrajudicial. That's why one of the reasons I have such a big problem with child support court and like family court, because it's a kangaroo court. If there's no right, you should have a right to a jury in a family court trial. Nope, then it's not court. It's extrajudicial. It's non-constitutional. And so I don't understand how they can do what they're doing. I am very confused about why that's allowed to happen. And maybe somebody smarter than me can explain it to me, but how can they even arrest Steve Bannon? How is that even possible? I thought they weren't supposed to be able to do that.
But isn't that why? Because a judge has sole power. So if a judge says something, it stands. Then you go.
A jury's
You
supposed to
need
have
to
sole
go.
power.
Yeah, but a judge can override a jury. I'm pretty sure.
The judge is supposed to be like, he's supposed to be like a referee. That's what he's supposed to do. That's all he's supposed to do. He's not supposed to, like, the way that it's been set up in the jury, the judicial system. The judge's job was to make sure the lawyers argue properly in front of the jury. That's what the judge is supposed to do. That's why he's like sustained, right? He's literally the judge. He is watching the ping pong go back and forth. He's not supposed to be interjecting himself into it. That's not what they're supposed to do. They're
Okay,
supposed
so
to be a jury that makes
yeah,
decisions.
yeah. So they have changed the meaning of their jobs, I guess. Then.
Change the meaning of everything. I mean, welfare, right? Welfare used to mean taking care of your community, right? Now, what does it mean? Getting a check in the mail, getting me a phone, free
Yeah,
phone.
for
You
sure.
know, that was such a positive. That was a good word. Now it means something awful. I like the word gay.
Okay.
It's just a pile of sticks. It's gonna be fine.
Okay. So
Seriously,
yeah,
that used to mean something. It used to mean being happy.
yeah,
And
gay. It's
now it's
happy. Yeah, I know.
yeah, and now it's sexualized. So I have a problem with language being changed. I also understand that our alphabet came from the Phoenicians, and the Phoenicians really love their child sacrifice. They have these tofets where they sacrifice their babies to the god Baal, which is the same one you see like Moses, and like the same one you see like God turning Abraham away from. Baal, which is like a bull, a golden calf bull god, and Tanit, his wife, which kind of like the pyramids. She's like a triangle, but they would they would sacrifice their babies to these gods or whatever. Uh, Carthage was a Phoenician colony. That's where our language comes from. Our alphabet comes from people that sacrificed babies and did it so much it made the accents like a trip to the farm. It's a vacation. That's how many people they killed in Phoenicia and in Carthage.
That's another
That's where our alphabet comes from.
A rabbit hole we should go into sometime. But my children are crying, and it's
I heard that.
so
My dog was crying. I handled it. Go handle your stuff.
Yeah, promote your stuff, and let's talk
I'm
again
just on
sometime.
Twitter right now. I got a bug in here. I don't know where that came from. No, I don't always do that clapping, but yeah, I'm on Twitter. I am in the process of setting up everything for my new podcast. It's going to be coming out in the next couple of weeks. It's called Allegedly with Frantic Missy. And when that drops, you guys will know because I'm sure everybody's going to be watching it and talking about it. And I've got some really interesting topics that I'm going to be covering. And I think that there's going to be a wide swath of things I'm going to be bringing up. So there's something for everybody. So if you get a chance to support me on that, I would appreciate it, y'all. I'm also working on my first book. So that should be, I'll have more details about that probably the next time I come on. But I'm grateful to be here. I'm happy to be here. And this was fun.
Yeah,
Frantic
it
Missy
was
on Twitter.
fantastic. You
don't go to IG.
Too many rabbit holes to follow every
not
rabbit
on IG,
hole.
by the way.
But yeah, this was super fun, and I hope to have you back in the future. And I'm gonna send you a Telegram link for my guest channel and stuff like that. But have a great day, and see you in the future.
Usually my kids at my mom's house. I'm day drinking. It's over. It's gonna be an ugly Monday.
That's the way it works. Have a great day.
First day I've had off in 3 weeks, so
Yes. See you later.
I'm gonna get hammered and clean my house. It's gonna be fun.
Let's do it.
Well, thanks for having me. This was super fun. I'll have to return the paper whenever I get off the ground.
Yep, I'm all for it. Let's keep in touch. Have a great day.
Definitely. That was fun. Have a great day. Bye.